You got the jitters.
No, no jitters, no jitters. Only green
Uh,
tea. I love coffee, but I'm here.
all right. Good evening and salutations, our soap opera fans. So this guy needs no introduction. I already did a press release for him this week. The one and only DC Soap Sanctuary. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, guys. Albert gave my press release is given SJPR. But it feels good, guys. It feels amazing to be back. It feels amazing to be back.
It's been a while, but you've been busy with school and everything like that. So it's understandable.
It has.
It's
I
not like
finally
we
put out a
just
review for
gotta.
the first time in 2 months. For the first time.
Oof, that's a long time.
I know. I didn't even realize it. I looked on YouTube. I was like 2 months. I mean, because I guess I've been doing the lives. It didn't. It didn't. It didn't. I guess I didn't. It was hard to take note of in a sense, right? Because I was doing the lives.
Yeah.
I hadn't done like a review, like separate from the lives in 2 months. I'm like, whoa, it's a long time.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that time frame because you know me, I'm doing it like Monday through Friday at this point. So, and
Right.
lives is like 7 days a week at this point. So it's a lot. There's a lot of fun though, so I can't really complain.
Right. Right.
How's everyone in the chat doing? Um, so yeah, question of the night: why are the writers making Josslyn so unlikable? Now I'm gonna start off with you because I've been pretty much roasting this chick in the live stream for like a good week. Um, so what do you think?
I'm definitely gonna have a lot to say on this if I try to get the GH review out. But I'm definitely what I would say on this is definitely that with Josslyn, I think I call her Carly Jr. because that's pretty much what we're seeing. Because honestly, literally, the storyline with Dex and Cameron is literally what happened between her, Jason, and Sunny all those years ago back in '96, where she was with Sunny and Jason saw that she was kind of pseudo cheating on him with Sunny. So she's pretty much Carly Jr. She's going after the bad guy, the mafioso. That's pretty much what Josslyn is, Carly 2.0. And I was happy when Cameron reamed her out that day. He's like, you're selfish. And I'm not doing it for your little gangster boyfriend. I was like, you tell her, Cameron. You tell her. I was proud of him. I was so proud of him. I was proud of that day. What about you?
Uh, wow. I'm not gonna lie. Jocelyn for me has always been a character that I've been struggling because, like, as far as like liking, like, for a while, I disliked the chick. Okay, I disliked her up until she fought now. Then I actually gave her props. She's always been somewhat kind of bratty, but she took it to a whole new level
Right.
when Cam walked in. When Cam walked in, she took it to a whole new level. I mean, she had the audacity to sit there and say, "I don't owe you anything." I sat there. I was like, I'm glad I sat down for that because I was like, "Yo, this guy has literally been there for you through thick and thin." And that's what you say to this dude who you practically knew since what, y'all were kids? I don't owe you anything? Wow. Like that surprised even me.
Yeah, you
So
can feel
yeah,
the entitlement. You can feel the entitlement in Jocelyn. He's like, I know you, I know I don't owe you anything, but like, can you just do it for Dex? And it's like, this is the same man that you left him for, the same man that sacrificed so much for you, Dex. I mean, because my whole thing is, what life does Jocelyn expect to have with Dex? And I can't wait till the rug gets pulled out from under when she finds out Dex has been working for Michael this whole time. That's a whole nother twist.
I mean, like I said, it was crazy that she in one episode she was like, "I don't owe you anything," and the next episode she was like, "Yeah, so could you do me a solid and just like kind of keep this on the down low?" I mean, I know I was just kind of acting all bitchy talking about I don't owe you anything, but so what do you say? You just gonna just? I sat there, I was like, how do you disrespect this man? Then ask him for the same for a favor within a span of what 10 minutes? How do you do that? But of course, her entitlement came in even before that. When she walked in Kelly's and was like, "Well, my grandmother owns this place," and I'm like, "Okay, cool," but there's this thing called tax. You know that he took the break. You know that he took the breakup hard, and then you walked in talking about, "Oh, I didn't know he was working today." He's a manager. Like,
Wait, when she said grandmother, does she mean
Well, I mean,
Lady Jax or Bobby?
I think, but like pretty much, she was like her family owns the place.
Okay, so that's probably Bobby.
So it was just one of those things where it's just like, okay. I mean, as much as I don't like Spencer sometimes, Spencer was like, "What are you doing here?" Like the breakup has literally been like what 5 days, and you just walk in. Oh, I'm trying to get some pie. So Kelly's is the only place that actually serves pie now, right? Like,
Very
yeah,
overplaced. Very overplaced. Which it's never actually been clear who really owns Kelly's. At one time, it was called Mike's. I don't know if anybody even remembers that. That Mike was the owner of Kelly's at one point in time. And I feel like they lost something who really owns Kelly's. It's like it's never been clear who's really owned Kelly's. But I guess now Bobby's the owner all of a sudden. Now I guess I don't know where that
yeah,
happened. But the entitlement that she has is it's very telling, and she's definitely gonna get her comeuppance when she realizes Dex was working for Michael. It's like, oh my god, you lied to me! I can't wait for it. Oh, you lied to me! I can't wait. I can't wait for that. I can't wait.
yeah. It's just been one crazy ride this week, specifically with Joss. By the way, so you've seen a lot of, well, I know you obviously watch Days, so that's
Yeah,
not even GH. You pretty much kind of caught up, or
I'm
where
caught. I
you at?
haven't seen today, but we can still talk about. Only so I have not seen at all any capacity is you already know
B&B.
big and big.
I'm not gonna lie. For a second, I was like, maybe it's YNR, but I was like, YNR has actually been doing good, so I know most likely B&B is kind of forgettable to some extent.
Because
B&B,
B is not my go-to soap. Like my go-to soap is always first Days and GH, and then YNR in the evenings. But B&B is always dead last. Like when all the soaps have been done and watched, then B&B gets their time from me. So
yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. For me, B&B has just been a comedy. It's just been a great sitcom, and I've just been loving it. Like, because with B&B, like when you sit there and you watch GH and you watch the whole cancer storyline and everything like that, and it's kind of sad and a little bit depressing at times. So it's like going to B&B and you got like Bill acting like a damn zombie. I'm like, well, I'm loving this. I'm gonna get my snack. I'm gonna get my soda, and I'm just gonna sit there and enjoy the circus at this point. It's like I don't know. It's just that good balance for me, you
it
know.
is. It is. It definitely has that. And I mean, looking at it too, it's like now with GH, we mentioned the cancer story on GH. It's falling flat on me with Willow. Willow's storylines kind of fall flat on me a lot of the times. How do I put this with Willow? It's just like there's no like Willow is a good character. Like her character is a good person, but that's just like it. There's nothing that makes you go, oh my God, Willow, like I really connect with you. Like I don't feel that connection with Willow, say as I would with Robin or with Trina or with anybody else. It's like to me, Willow at times is just they're trying to get her there, but she's just there. Like if this was Olivia Q, I could feel it, or anybody, I guess, with Will, Sasha, I could
Yeah,
feel it. With Will, I just don't. I don't feel it. And the thing is that I was ready for Willow to be at odds with Carly, and she wasn't. I was like, okay, fine. Because honestly, I'm okay with Michael being actually at odds with Carly for the first time. That's necessary because Carly has never got her comeuppance ever in the situation. It's always been Sunny's fault. It's always been somebody else's fault. I'm glad that for the first time now, it's like Michael's finally holding Carly accountable because that's never been done. I feel like ever on GH has he ever held her accountable ever? It feels like for anything. So I feel like I was happy to finally see that much at least. But Willow, it's always fallen flat with me with her. But generally speaking, yes, I feel for Willow. Generally,
just because of the whole cancer part, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But like in terms of like my connection to the character, I can't really feel it for some reason.
I mean, I don't really understand this whole quote unquote epic love story between Michael and Willow. It just every time you put those two together, it's like I almost get to the point where it's like, at least they give them something to do because they're getting to that level with me where they're almost getting dangerously low to like Mariah and Tess. They're almost getting to that point, except for the fact that they do bother to give them an actual story. So there is that. But their levels are falling dangerously low with me.
Yeah.
Nina, I generally feel bad for Nina. I feel bad for Nina. I want Nina to sit there and get her revenge. And just on a side note, and this is something I want to sit there and ask you, and we'll go back to this. A lot of times when we do these reviews, how do you sit there and say it's like we have to try to do these characters in a way where it's like we have to be as non what's that word when you're I just lost it.
Unbiased.
Yeah, unbiased. Yeah, thank you. As possible. And the reason why I'm sitting there saying that is because like Jakari's, because he does reviews and stuff like that. He was talking about the whole
Bias
Halloween.
Naylor, yes. So happy to show
Exactly.
Bias Naylor. Yep.
Exactly. I love that intro. So he was sitting there talking about Chanel and Allie. And he was like, Allie is really getting on my nerves. Like, I get that, Chanel's kind of responsible for this whole, them fighting thing or whatever. But, he talked more about Allie than Chanel. And what it really came down to is like, I don't want to sit there and say he was more biased because he didn't like Allie, even though it was Chanel's fault for their initial fighting. And so how do you sit there and deal with that? Like when you're doing reviews and stuff like that, like I know you're more Nina than Carly and stuff like that, right? So like how do you sit there and deal with that when you're doing your reviews?
I guess it's just about assessing the character's history, right? Because for one thing, I'm usually for the most part team Nina because I do feel like Nina is really the victim here. And like I said before, and I said in my day's review, like I look at the character's history, and a lot of times viewers forget certain details that I don't. I will never forget the fact that Nina did call Carly while she was in Nixon Falls. She placed that call, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I stand by her. She placed that call. Granted, she hung up, but she placed that call. You know what I mean? Just like how Krista on Days, how she's acting a whole mess, but this is because of when she thought Rachel had died as a baby. And that's what really caused this lunacy that we're seeing now in her. So I remember that. So I hold the space for them. But the thing about it is that I guess what allows me to remain a little unbiased is I look at the facts at hand. And yes, I'm a Nina fan, but in this case, looking at it, this is Carly's like fifth or sixth time keeping someone from their children, and her second time keeping Nina's child from her. Second time. And I watched that scene when she tried to justify it to Drew, and I'm like, sis, this is the sixth time you've done this. Like, maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're part of the problem. This is the sixth time you've done this. I mean, Nicholas Cassadine, Nina. Who else? My God, I'm forgetting a few people here. AJ. Who else? Am I forgetting somebody else? I feel like I'm forgetting one more person on this list. I can't think of it right now. But anyways, this is not her first show on the rodeo.
Yeah.
So, but in trying not to be unbiased, I think of the character's history, and I think of because there's some scenes where Nina's talking, and I'm like, Nina, like, come on, like, really? Like when she comes over to Willow's house and starts arguing, I'm like, really? Because sometimes I think about, okay, so when I try to be unbiased, I'm like, okay, who started it? Who initiated it? So that's what I try to think of when I think of that in terms of characters. What about you?
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the same thing with Allie. Like, I don't like Allie. I mean, I don't like Chanel that much, but I really don't like Allie.
What is that though? When I ask,
she just comes across as very ditzy. She just reminds me of like girls that I went to high school with that just like, I don't know. I just don't like their
world around them or something.
It's sort of like that. It's like they just kind of just get by on everything, even though they're just very ditzy and kind of stupid and very shallow. And I can just go on and on and on, but it's just something about her personality that I just don't like. But with that being said, in the chat, like this week, we were sitting there talking about that. I was like, I can't believe I actually have to defend Allie. Out of all people, as much as I don't like her, when she walked in and she saw Johnny about to kiss Chanel, she's like, what are you doing? And he just kind of stood there looking stupid, like, oh, Johnny was like, oh, she was sitting there trying to comfort me with her tongue. Like, I'm like, I can't believe I'm sitting there defending this chick. And of course, a couple people in the comment section was kind of, we were going back and forth a little bit. I'm like, I know how to actually get to a point when I'm defending Allie, But that's just how it is. It's sort of like what you said. It's like you got to sit there and look at the facts, regardless of how much you like or dislike the character. You
And the
know,
crazy thing is, I actually like Allie, but I'm actually on Chanel's side on this one. You know,
I'm sorry, what?
I'm on Chanel's side on this one. I feel like, let me explain why. I feel like okay, they had a moment. It was vulnerable. But at the same time, she was Johnny's wife at one point in time, and oh God, how do I say this out? This sounded so terrible, but I feel like Ali invited this into her relationship. She invited this dynamic. It's like you took your brother's girlfriend from her. Then you go and have a three-way with Alex Kyriakis. And now Chanel's like, oh my God, he's Alex Kyriakis. But I'm like, you invited this man in the room. Like you opened that door. And I remember when that whole thing happened, I remember thinking like, and I don't know if you guys remember like that review. I was like, they're about to open some doors that they might not be able to close. About to open some doors they might not be able to close. And it looks like those doors are showing that they can't be closed. So my whole thing is you lose them how you get them. And I feel like Ali is learning a valuable lesson here. Um, so I don't think Chanel did this premeditated. It wasn't like they were in Johnny's bedroom, like they were having a vulnerable moment at bonding over Marlena, on the rooftop, over our $4.99 rooftop a month for Peacock that we're now getting on digs. They're bonding at that rooftop. So that's my take on that.
Okay. I mean, I 100% disagree. Well, more like maybe 98, 97% disagree. Like, I get the whole inviting part, especially when you start talking about three ways and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's not they're saying that, like, oh, they had a vulnerable moment. It's like, it's not they're saying, well, I was mad, so I decided to run over a couple people because, I was just really pissed off that day. I got fired and I was just really emotional and it just made me feel better.
But they
So,
also didn't
that's
kiss
just,
either. They didn't kiss either. So nothing was technically done.
oh, okay. And so how would you feel if you were in that situation and they technically didn't kiss? Would you still be okay with that?
Well, let me say this. I wouldn't be okay with it, but I also would not steal my siblings' ex-spouse either. I probably wouldn't have done that. Right, right.
Okay. But I mean, you did hit on a key point though that you wouldn't be okay with it.
Okay, that's true. That's true. I wouldn't either. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Because I guess in this way, I just felt like okay, like you know, the way Ali and Chanel, I feel like they're just they're serious about their relationship, but I feel like sometimes they just like it's a game to them. Sometimes I feel like in certain ways. So I'll just leave it there on that. I'll leave it there on that. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, I get it. Like they're both very immature. You know, like they're on some level they are kind of still
It's like
immature and
two high
stuff.
school
So
girls dating. I don't see two grown women. To me, it's like two high school
yeah,
girls dating. That's the way I see the
yeah,
relationship for some reason. I don't
yeah.
know why.
Well,
I
same.
don't
I
know why
mean,
I
well,
see
it's
the
also because I
relationship.
don't really take both of them seriously, so that also helps.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Um, what else is going on in GH though? Besides, well, like Willow and stuff. I feel like that's the majority of
Oh,
that. And
the Willow. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, granted, they done some breadcrumbs or whatever with the whole Esme thing. By the way, do you think that she's faking it, or you think she is legit serious? Like,
This Esme thing, this Hook storyline, it's just been the hottest mess of the mess. If I could just even start off with just Heather being the Hook, it was so anticlimactic, and I can't wait to go in even harder tomorrow into my GH review because it's so anticlimactic with her being the Hook. Um, you know, whether or not Esme does or doesn't remember. And then Elizabeth sacrificing her relationship with Finn to help Nicholas, and it was unnecessary, honestly, even at that. This is my whole thing with this whole storyline with Esme and the baby. Um, I'm trying to just figure out where to start with this thing because it's just such a mess. Like, I don't even know if the writers know where this is going. It's one of those storylines you watch. It's like, do the writers even know where this is going? Like, do
kind of
they know where this
crazy,
is
right?
going?
Seem like they're just making it up as they go along, right?
Yeah, just like they're just making this all up as they go along. They're just like, okay, let's just throw this out here. She has amnesia, and let's just see what we're gonna do. Let's throw it there and let's see if we make it stick. And now we're reintroducing the whole Maggie thing. Is a Maggie nanny thing really necessary at this point? I thought we dropped this whole thing about who Maggie was. We have Heather now, so is this necessary for us to go through this again? Are they gonna bring Maggie from All My Children? Is that who the Maggie is, the nanny? It was this Maggie person that keep bringing up, but I just feel like the organization storyline has just been very piss poor, and to me. Now Spencer's trying to go for custody of the baby, and Trina had a look on her face like, I'm not trying to raise that baby.
On top of that,
like, I'm not. This is not what I signed up for.
On top of that, she said that she
felt it.
Yeah, she said that he wasn't ready to be a father. I'm like, bro, you're practically still a kid yourself. Like,
I think it's his child. I think it's actually still Spencer's child. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's gonna be reverse, and it's gonna be Spencer's child, and now. Trina's gonna have to deal with, can she be a stepmama to Esme's child? That's gonna be the new thing going on. But I think it actually is Spencer's child, and that's going to be the twist with that. But in terms of Esme, it would have been better if it was Felicia. I don't know. There was so much more room there for growth. Heather Weber just seemed like something, once again, they just threw at the, I feel like the writers, when they're writing them GH, I think you have a little board where you have like, the thumbtacks, you put the ideas on there.
Yeah.
I feel like they just throw something like a dartboard and say, okay, she's gonna be Heather Weber's daughter. Let's see how that goes. Let's play with that for the guys. Because I think at first it was Felicia's daughter, and like, oh no, let's make her Heather Weber. And what are your thoughts on it? Because I can't organize myself on this one. I can't organize.
Well, it's. I don't know why they changed it for. There was so many different reasons, There were so many different reasons why they changed it. So many theories or whatever. People said that maybe they dropped the whole storyline with Felicia because of what happened with her son in real life. But then, people was like, well, why would they torture her? But Sasha just the actress just got, like she just birthed a child, and yet she's not there dealing with the death of a child in the storyline. So there's so many different theories about that. But as far as if I think that Esme is faking it or telling the truth, at this point, I feel like it's 92% chance that she is telling the truth. That she really is faking it.
I think when she finds out, she'll just keep faking it though. Because I didn't answer the question. I do think she is too. I definitely think she is faking. No, I'm sorry. I definitely think she's telling the truth on it. I definitely think that she really does remember who she is. But I do believe when she does come to find out, she will keep the straight going, which she might as well. She might as well keep it going. And once again, I'm noticing something. We are approaching February sweeps. There are 2 people in town who are pregnant. I don't know. It just, I don't.
Come on now,
Last time 2 people in town were pregnant. Well, technically Brooklyn wasn't pregnant, but still there was kind of a switch in its own way with her fake baby and Max's baby. So Brooklyn came to town bringing Max's baby. So it's like, I don't know if I can handle that right now because they didn't even do the serial killer storyline right. And that's just supposed to be like the easiest thing to do. I feel kind of soap. It just should just be not easy, but it's just supposed to be well written. So I don't know if they can even do this. I don't trust them to, but 2 people pregnant at the same time, Port Charles, I don't know.
So if you had to sit there and rank this week's soap operas that you watched so far, how would you rank them?
Wow, let's see here. Days this week fell a little flat. Last week was on point. Last week was on point with them on the $4.99 a month rooftop in Salem. That was on point. Hey, it's good to see where our $4.99 a month went. I'm glad to see where it went. I was like, okay, look at that. $4.99 a month. $1.99 a month, you guys caught at the right time with the special back in July. But if I had to give a ranking, Days is pretty much always going to be a number 1. But if I had to really base it off of something else, based off what I've seen for YNR this week, I would give YNR the number 1 spot, especially after the Lauren episode. Which, speaking of which, I was looking for your review, but then I quickly realized you don't do specialty episodes. I forgot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
But it would be good to hear your review on that because there were so many flashbacks and stuff and all those kind of things, and you're kind of like a newcomer watching YNR. So
I thought about watching it.
What you were gonna say?
I thought about it, but I think that day I was just like really tired, and I was like, you know what? Let me just put all my energy in a GH. and then we'll just see what happens with the rest.
But I mean, on a conscious level, it was especially episode 2 that was part of it, right? Back in the
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It was.
What were your thoughts on that episode, though? Can you tell us like a quick snippet of that? And
I
especially episode
mean,
1, Weinart.
my whole thing is like, I think in this, also James, I think, James wanted doing a interview with her, right?
With who?
With the actress that plays Lauren.
Oh, yeah, I saw something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool that they did that. That they made a special. I mean, she's been on the show for like 40 years.
Yeah, she
Like
has no
literally.
storyline. She won't have no storyline after this. But go ahead.
But like I said, I thought that was pretty cool of them to do, to give her a tribute or whatever. Sit there and be like, hey, we appreciate you and stuff like that. But my whole thing is, when I look at that, I'm like, are they actually going to give her a storyline? Like, because they haven't really been giving her a storyline. It's like, okay, cool. So you gave her a special, and that's fine and everything. But are you actually going to give her something of importance to make her feel relevant? Because she just comes in and it's like, hey, I'm Lauren, and and my husband is Michael Baldwin. He has all these adventures off screen. We can't show that because, we got to sit there and save money for the budget. It's like, if you want to celebrate her, celebrate her.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I
I
was
was saying because they did the same thing for the actor who plays Michael. They gave him this whole tribute, but I'm like, where is his storyline though? Like, that's the way you can really give the tribute. Like, because Lauren and Michael have been such an underused couple on YNR. They're literally like, they're literally just become a background couple. And I was watching these scenes with Lauren, the flashback. I was like, damn, this is good. This is some good stuff, and her and Tracy, and it was just kind of like they really just watered them down so heavily. Which, by the way, it was so weird seeing the actor who plays Fenmore and the actor who plays Kevin, which their uncle and nephew in YNR, but they're lovers.
Yeah, exactly. I saw look at I was like,
it was like a Twilight Zone, because I don't think I've ever seen that on soaps where on one soap people are playing lovers and the other soap they're playing like family. I've never seen that before. So this was like, it was like totally, it was giving Passions, Vincent and Chad. That's what it was giving. But I wish they would honor her with the storyline as well. I think that would be essential, but they're not going to do that. I mean, and the crazy thing is, in the episode, why wasn't Jill there? Jill is Lauren's sister, and she was not there at all in that episode. I mean, we got the flashbacks. I mean, did you know that they were sisters, by the way?
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she mentioned Sheila, and yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Overall, I am loving YNR right now. I'm loving the Tucker stuff. Phyllis is just, she's just all out of control. But that's Phyllis, though. That's what makes it fun. Okay, I don't understand why they bothered to give Summer like the worst dialogue. I talked about this in my live stream. Why did they bother to give her like the worst dialogue? She sounds like she comes out of a Jane Austen novel. She looks like she's 22. Yeah, she looks like she's 22, 23. And she's arguing with Kyle about Victor. And she's all like, I don't want you to get caught up in his machinations. And I'm just like, I actually have to look that up on my phone, because most people don't usually use words like that. I mean, Victoria does, because I don't know why, but she uses a lot of dialogue that just doesn't really fit somebody of her age. And I just don't understand why they write like that. I mean, I guess I get it on some level, because let's be honest, YNR has always been pitched more towards a older demographic.
Yeah,
that's just how they always been,
which
is fine. But I'm like, oh, you're like 22, 23. Why are we using like no one talks like that, And if it's not like dialogue that no one uses, then it's just really cringe-worthy lines. It's sort of like Mariah and Tess, but that's
YNR makes you learn vocab words. I remember when I first started watching one time. It was in 2006, and Brad Carlton, the actor who plays Bill on B&B, was playing Brad Carlton on Young Restless. And this character was married to Victoria. And I never forget, he was cheating on Victoria with Sharon. And I think I don't know if it was Victor or Nick came in the Newman boardroom, and they walked up to Brad and was like, you superfluous, disingenuous son of a bitch. And I was like, ooh, what do those words mean? I had to look ooh, you superfluous, disingenuous son of a bitch. I was like, what does that mean? I was like, ooh, I got like a little vocab lesson. Why do I was like my vocab? So it's like a vocab lesson.
Exactly. If you want to sit there and try to sound smart, you want to try to sound like you come from Harvard, you want to sit there and watch some Y&R. That's what you want to do.
Right. You know, that's what Y&R did. And, you know, the thing is with Summer is that, like, you know, she's standing by her man Kyle, and they're trying to stand by Diane for probably the sake of Harrison, and so they say. And, you know, personally for me, this is all Phyllis's fault. Oh, go ahead, take it.
LJ Media is in the chat, and thank you,
Uh-oh.
Nikisha.
The Anthony Zakara of soap consecrators.
The Godfather. Sorry, missed you.
The Anthony Zakara.
There we go. My guy James. You know, I was actually watching him earlier today, so you know we had to sit there and chop it up about some stuff.
I miss watching James. He's like my Wendy Williams. I miss watching him on the Red Glitter of the Day. I miss watching JLJ Media. Oh gosh, I miss it. I miss it so much.
Yeah, good times. You know. But yeah, no, you can continue. I just want to sit there and say what's up to James because you know he's pretty much the godfather of these soaps at this point, you know. And I was telling him earlier, I was like, you know, he inspired me to do lives, and then it went to you, and so you know,
James Rouse's AfterBuzz TV guys. The defunct AfterBuzz TV.
James is just an inspiration.
He definitely is. You know, James is like he's like I said, he's a godfather. He's Anthony Zakara. But what I was saying in terms of like with Summer, you know, Y&R has been really good. The business storyline, I don't get with like the Chancellor. I knew that was gonna be a hot mess. I knew we wanted to start it because like they were like the storyline was them figuring out what the business is gonna be, and I was like, oh, this is already terrible. This is already not starting off right. This is already not start off right. And then we didn't know who was the CEO, who wasn't the CEO, and their co-CEOs, and Nate was in there. Nate was right to go work at Newman because they don't know what they're doing. You know, you need to organization structure. And I'm just watching this storyline now. Devon has walked away, and Lily's upset, and Billy has walked away. So I guess Chancellor Witters is no more. So the black business storyline in Y&R has just gone to crap. Because everybody in General City practice has a business. Daniel has one. You know, at one point, Phyllis had one. Lauren has one. Everyone has a business on Y&R. But the one time we get a black business, it falls apart.
Also got to sit there and point out James has actually been on YouTube for 8 years. Like, that's a long time. That is a long time, Bing. So it's going to be 8 years soon. I forgot when he said, but I know it's going to be 8 years. So, you know, I got to sit there and give him a shout out. But yeah, I just whole, and then you got Devon that's like, oh, well, I'm going to sit there and I want to sit there and take my company back. And I don't care how much money I got to lose. I don't care if both of the businesses do bad because I got to sit there and protect Neil and his dream. And here's the thing I'll sit there and say about that. And, you know, granted, this may get a little kind of philosophical or whatever, right? Because he's sitting there talking about the memories and everything like that he built with Neil. And I'm just looking at this whole thing and I'm like, well, here's the thing. Those memories, those lessons that he learned didn't go away. Yeah. You know, like he's talking about preserving this company, you know, that he built with Neil. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's very nice and very touching, but you gotta sit there and look at it this way though. The business, it was more than just a business, like his attitude, the way he approaches life, the way he may walk, the way he may talk. Like, my point is that whatever happens with the company happens with the company. Those lessons and the foundations that you learn from him, they're not going to disappear. They're not going to go away just because, oh, they're going to do the IPO and this and that, whatever. I mean, granted, I get that change is hard, but it's like he's making it seem like, well, I'm going to sit there and start from scratch again. I was like, no, like those foundations are still there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Devon tries to act like he's down to earth, but ever since he's gotten that Chancellor money from his grandmother, Catherine Chancellor, he's been acting way too cool for school. Okay, that's what Devon's, but he's been acting way too cool for school because as if the Winters family didn't pick him up off the street. But you know, my whole thing is with Devon is like, I agree with you. None of those things would change, and he definitely left Lily out to dry. That's how I feel. He definitely threw out the draft. I feel like now that he's got what he wants with Abby and Dominic, he's like, I don't care about this no more. You know, he's still sitting on Catherine's billions of dollars, so he's good. It's like I don't need this. You know, I don't have to be here. That's the kind of vibe Devon is giving. Like, I don't have to be here, and he always comes off so down to earth, so supposedly. But I feel like now we're starting to see what Devon has really been since he's gotten that money. I mean, he's too cool for school. Like the Winter family didn't pick him up off the street and pay for all his surgeries that he had going on at the time. Like didn't help him out. Like didn't help this man out, you know. And he wants to act like this. And now he feels like because he has Abby and Dominic, he's good, which you already know, like chances gonna get iced out of Dominic's life somewhere down the line. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They got their family going on now, so it's like you can just. It's like they're subtly saying you can just step aside, Chance. But thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
Soon as I saw Samuel's comment in the chat, I was like, "Good thing that DC's here, because DC sent their champion Nate. Nate the what do you call him? Nate the Great?
Nate the Great.
Yeah, Nate the Great. Yeah,
Nate the Great. Nate the Great.
But I mean, I get that. See, that's the thing. When you are technically right about all of that. It's just kind of a shame that he's not there acting like this because he is leaving his sister out to dry. On top of that, his sister was like, "Listen, how about we do this for a little bit? We'll give you some money, whatever, to buy you out. You can sit there and do your own thing, and this way everyone could be good." And I was like, you know what? Listen, I think that's a great idea. This way, you don't have to sit there and spend a bunch of money on trying to buy that back the company. You don't have to sit there and go through all these lawsuits and stuff like that. You don't have to damage the reputations of both companies. This is a win-win. But he's like, no, I'm going to have to start from scratch. And what, the memories of Neo is just going to go away? Like, I don't.
And that storyline has so much potential, too, with Amanda and Amani and the Nate thing. And then it was just a mess. It didn't. And see, this is the thing. This is why I realized the writers, I don't think the intended direction was for Nate to go work at Newman. I think it was for him to work with the company, have an affair with Amani, and that was the original plan. But the actress left, and that didn't work out. Like you can always tell when a certain storyline was not the original intention. You can just tell from the way it plays out.
Like the Nixon Falls story.
Like what was that? Oh yeah, Nixon Falls. Oh, that's a primary example. That's like that goes into the soap opera history textbook.
Yeah.
Of how a storyline was not supposed to be, or that was not supposed to be. That's like in the textbook of that right there. Just because Maurice is like, listen, I need a break, so you guys in the writing room figure it out because I'm not doing this. That's what Maurice said. I'm not doing this storyline, so give me something new to do and figure it out quick.
You want to know the sad part? Like with that joke, it's not that far off from reality. Like back then, before he got diagnosed and everything like that, he wasn't that far off from that. Like with the whole what's the actress name that plays Sonny's sister?
Courtney.
The one that Alicia, I think that's her name. She plays Sonny's sister. Courtney. Yeah. You heard about that, right?
Heard about what exactly?
Why she left? What was like the main reason why she left?
No.
Maurice Bernard.
So he wanted her gone?
No, she just to give context. No, he just was difficult to deal with. Like he was extremely difficult to deal with to the point where she would go back in her trailer and be in tears. Because one minute he was nice, he was the family guy, whatever, he was really cool. The next minute it was like, stay out of his way. I have to give context to that because this was before he found out that he was bipolar.
Right.
They didn't know that at the time. He didn't know at the time. So he just kind of came off course like, well, I'm Sonny, I'm making the money, I'm getting the ratings. So, and a lot of times people like, because it was on Instagram and it was like, well, find out the real reason why this actress left. But if you don't give context to the story, people are going to sit there and just think of, Sonny's being a diva and, Maurice Bernard being a diva. And they don't take things into context. So that's why I want to sit there and kind of remind people that, it's before he started getting on his meds and was just in a better place. But I didn't know if you knew that or not.
So
they talked about it on State of Mind.
Then. Sorry, go ahead.
No, they talked about it a little bit on State of Mind.
Well, he talked about this openly with the whole thing with the actress who played Courtney.
Yeah. They were. She was on the show,
Oh, she
and I
was on.
read that.
Oh, so okay. Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. I gotta watch that interview. Wow. So then, listen, I'm telling y'all right now, if Nancy Lee Grant leaves GH and she writes a book,
Oh, you know it's
we're
going
gonna find
down.
out the things. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it coming in the air. I feel it.
Yeah, she
Like
she she
James and
will
to protect people. We're gonna know what time it is.
she will definitely be spilling the tea on that.
She will.
Um,
Wow, I didn't
and
know
just on a
that.
side note, yeah, just on a side note, James is actually supposed to be on Maurice Bernard's show, right? Where have
Okay.
you been at?
Listen, I'm giving Laura Collins these days. I'm in and out. I told you. He's gonna be on State of Mind.
Yeah, he talked
When?
about it. I think it was maybe either sometime in April or March. I think it's either between April or March.
Wow,
A
I'm
lot of
proud of
people,
him. James deserves that. He deserves that.
yeah,
He deserves that. Wow.
yeah,
Them
he,
Twitter
he
folks gotta put some respect on his name, right?
yeah. I talked about it a little bit in my live stream or whatever. I gave him a shout out because I thought it was really cool. Um, yeah, a lot of people tweeted at Maurice Bernard and made some noise, and he got back to him. So it's going to be a very interesting episode on State of Mind. So
Why is it every time that I'm gone for all this stuff happens, but when I'm here, it's like everything's quiet in the house. You know what I'm saying? But when I decided to go off a little bit and beat Stavros Cassadine frozen in time.
because what we do, we wait until you leave, and then we're like, all right, now we're gonna get into some stuff.
Right.
That's what we purposely wait. We know how long it's gonna take for you to come back, so we just we bide our time.
I'm over here giving Stavros Cassadine frozen in time. When I come back. Everything's done like a 360, like a 360 and like a 180 every time he's gone. I'm happy though that James didn't get that because I feel like he really honestly he deserves that. I feel like it's a long time coming, and I feel like it's well deserved. It's well deserved. He's gonna be on State of Mind. Wow,
Yeah,
proud of him.
James is my guy. And how we started off.
Yeah.
Started off, and I was on the stream, and when I got off, I texted you. I was like, "Yo, should I go to war? Should I go to war with him?" But then you watched the video. It was like, no, it's cool. But then, I tell this story like often or whatever. Something I realized when I sat there and I went on his show and I talked to him and stuff like that. It's not always important to be right.
Right.
Sometimes it's more important to sit there and understand where somebody's coming from than it is to be right. Because when I sat there and I looked at the situation, because this is about the whole race thing, we came from different perspectives. He came in a little bit older, dealing with more stuff during his time period. Not that we're like that much apart, but like he's dealt with stuff more than I have. He's also a father. So, when he talked about the whole Trina thing, it's like, well, I'm not going to understand that because I'm not a father. And that's why I want to sit there and see it from his point of view, instead of just being like, well, you're wrong because of X, Y, and Z. And I said so because my name is Albert Bostick. It's sometimes just more,
It was good though hearing those different perspectives at the time. So I think it was really good. It was good hearing that, like hearing his views on what had happened and hearing yours afterwards. It was really good. It was a really good perspective. I loved it. I loved it though. I really did.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a moment in time. We got to sit there and do that again. Get back on the show, actually have him on here at some point. But yeah,
Because that's something
fun
that
times.
people have been. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. What you gonna say?
I was gonna say something that people have been making a lot of noise about is like race and representation of soaps. People talking about that. So it was interesting to see your two opinions like contrast like that. And everybody knows when I say this, I never watched soaps for representation because I feel like if I did, I'd be very disappointed. I'd be disappointed on a regular basis. I just watch it. I just like take it for what it is when I watch it. And I give Days their credit for doing what they have been able to do. But it was good to see those two different perspectives, you guys. It really was. It was good seeing.
Yeah, it was, and then you were there, so it was like a nice little trio right there,
It was. It definitely was. It definitely was.
Also, it's the first time I was working with somebody else besides you.
I
You know,
know.
because we were sitting there doing videos
You're
about
Albert
how
Schindermera now. You're Albert
yeah,
Schindermera now. You're working here, you're there, you got all these different people. I'm like, you see, that's why I
Danny
call you Albert
87,
Shin.
yeah.
Least shit on days. He will take over someone's company with a smile. And it's just so subtly, right? And it's like you do it so subtly. You're just so subtle, which I love it. I love it. I mean that jokingly, obviously. I mean that
No,
jokingly.
I
Yeah,
know.
you know.
And
So
it's a compliment. You know, somebody, one of my subscribers said that I was the quote unquote Simon Cowell of soap opera reviews
really,
because I act like a dick at times. And I do. I do. I always sit there and say, no one is spared the rod. Everybody gets it. I don't care if it's my favorite character. I don't care if it's Sunny. I don't care if it's Carly. Everybody gets it. Now, granted, I say it jokingly, but in retrospect, it's more like we were talking about before. We got to look at this stuff kind of objectively to some extent. I'm
yeah,
not just going to sit there and bash Nina just because it's Tuesday and I'm hungry. So I just want to just take out my anger on her. You know, like you guys sit there and look at it, the facts. And it's like the facts is Carly screwed her over. And when Nina decides to give her the smoke, I'm going to be there for it. Hell, I may actually sit there and have another cake party. Who knows? Um, but that's just, that's just how I look at it.
and the thing is too is that one thing I will see when I watch all soaps is I'm a very stickler for examining the writing on the soaps, meaning the directions, the certain. Okay, for example, like when they were doing the Lauren special episode Y&R, and they were showing the flashback when Lauren got buried alive. And you can see the director like zooming in her face in the coffin. Like we don't get that old school directing like we used to get on soaps, which is okay. We're in a different era. I get it, but I'm really examining the writing and seeing even Drew hold Carly accountable. I was like, okay, finally, this is the relationship that Carly needs because every other relationship, Carly's been existing in her world. Because even when Sonny and Carly were in the chapel, Sonny was pretty much telling Carly like, okay, like I get this is what you did and this is how you're in the past, but you don't have to keep being that way. Now, granted, he's a hypocrite because he's a mobster, but at the same time, though, he was just like, you don't have to keep doing this type of stuff because this is not Carly's first show on the rodeo. And I was happy that Michael now has smoke for Carly because this is the one time like Carly has never gotten smoke from Michael. Michael's given everybody smoke. You know, Sunny smoke, AJ smoke, this person smoke, Quarterman smoke. Carly now deserves her smoke. This is her time. She needs to get it too. Because at the end of the day, Carly started all of this. She started all of this, you know, in a sense, and when Nina. And I do hope that Willow is able to facilitate this relationship with Nina, and obviously it's gonna be strained with Carly at the center of it. But I was happy that Drew finally held her accountable. He was like, "Listen, I'm an easygoing guy, but I have my limits." I was like, "You better," because that was the one thing that Jason never did was institute boundaries. Carly, go ahead.
Now, here's the problem with that. As far as holding her accountable, when you really think about it in retrospect, did they really hold her accountable?
Not
Like
really.
with Michael was sat there. Michael was mad at her for like what, like maybe 3 days, 4 days max. And then he sat there and had a talk. And he was like, "No, listen, it's cool." And it's funny because everybody in the live stream we were talking about it, and I kept saying to saying, "Do you think that Michael's going to sit there and give Carly the same energy?" And people was like, "No, he's going to want to forgive her." Less than 3 days. Same thing with Drew. Drew was upset with Carly. Next thing you know, they snit there playing mattress tag. So it's like how, what I'm saying? Like now they in bed together doing all sorts of stuff. It's like, oh, well, I'm a nice guy, but I have my limits. You have limits, right? So do those limits actually hold up when she starts taking off her panties and bras and stuff like that? Like, is that when it holds up? Like, come on, seriously? Like, yeah, there was some accountability, but it really wasn't much when you think about it in retrospect. Like, she really didn't get the smoke that
But
she
it's a
deserved.
start. It's a start, though. It's a start.
It's a start, and it took like how many years?
It's a good minute. It's a good minute. But it was to me it was a start because I feel like Carly's never gotten that. I mean, she has gotten times of the show, but not to this. To I feel like to this extent. Which, if anything, they need to keep applying pressure. If honestly, that's what I want to see because no one has given Nina an apology. And to me, that's the part that bothers me most. Yes, I don't know I'm a Nina fan, but I'm like, damn, like Carly didn't think to apologize. This is Carly's second time doing this, Nina. Somebody said in the chat that maybe Nina should get her in Drew for insider trading. And I said, yeah, go for it. I'm here for it. Go ahead, go for it. Go for the gusto. Because it's Carly's second time doing this and not even an apology to Nina. Just like, you know what? This is not about me. This is about Willow. And this is what needs to happen. And I'm like, girl, like, you don't see how you started this? You started this with the Nell thing. Okay. I think it was Nikisha said that Jack started it with hiding Nell's kidney stuff. And yeah, in a way. But Carly facilitated it along. Because listen, Carly's been in too many situations for us to say that was somebody else. I would feel like, in a way, you gotta look at Carly too. But at the same time, though, she started this with Nina. And granted, Nina did the thing with Sonny. This is a chance where Carly could have ended it and said, okay, you know what? Like, at least she could have told Willow, at least. She chose not to do that. She chose not to even do that. And I think I hope Willow can see that Carly is not going to be that mother-in-law that you think she is. Go ahead.
Oh, much love thank you from the UK. Just want to sit there.
You got the UK in the chat.
Yes. That's all him. So if anyone takes offense, that's DC right there.
Wow. He just threw that on me.
Had to pull a Shen move, B. Had to pull a Shen move.
Albert Shindamera just threw it off on me. Okay, this is one thing I wanted to bring up if I could, as a quick aside for a moment.
Yeah.
And I brought this up in my day's review, and I hope it doesn't sound crazy. But isn't there a part of you that just feels like, okay, this could sound crazy. I already know you're gonna roll your eyes when I say this. But isn't there a small part of us that feels like Stefan should be somewhat grateful to Lee, because Lee did low-key save his life? Is that just me? I don't know.
Yeah. If you really start to think about it, I mean, Roth wouldn't actually had all that funding if it wasn't for Shen. So, yeah, I don't think that's actually crazy at all.
I never saw Stefan give Lee like a thank you. But one thing I want to know, did they ever say why Lee kept Stefan alive all that time?
He said that he was doing it for like research purposes, like maybe like, you know, if they could bring people back or whatever, like he can use that as some sort of like thing for money or whatever. It's pretty much about just making this man even more richer. That's what it came down to. Also, maybe also having the Numeras owe him. So.
Oh yeah, that was right. And Stefan did not has yet to thank that man. Has yet to thank that. It's like, Gabby over here gave away your heart to Julie Gordon. Yeah, get to thank that man.
Well, I mean, also, you know, he did actually pull the plug for like a hot minute, so there is that. But still, yes. You are 100% right. And actually, tell you the truth, when you think about it, it's not really that crazy.
Because I feel like, because honestly, what I think are possibly going to happen is maybe Stefan just might team up with Lee. Because he was already out to get EJ, you know, with that whole little thing, and now Gabby's kidnapped him, which I'm like, sis, really? Like, come on, like I'm just looking at Gabby like, really? Like, this is what you're doing now? Like,
whoa. Aren't you okay? For somebody who actually been watching it for a while, aren't you actually more expecting that? Like, I felt like that seems like a Gabby move from what everyone tells me. Like, that's something that Gabby would do. You know,
it definitely was something Gabby would do. But I'm like, you know, one thing I can't stand is seeing someone trying to desperately hold on to someone at the extent of compromising themselves. Yeah, and I'm just like, this man told you 5 ways to Sunday he doesn't want you, and I get it. He maybe has been brainwashed, but like, now you want to kidnap him. Now you want to do all this stuff. So all this stuff that Lee was all this stuff about, now you doing the same thing. You know, you're kind of putting yourself in that same category. Granted, you didn't keep him alive on the ventilator, but you're putting yourself in that same category now. The same thing that you were on Lee about and all this other stuff and manipulating and doing all this stuff. Now you're doing the same thing.
On top of that, one thing, I mean, granted, she did adjust it after a while. So she was upset with Wendy. Oh, by the way, if you are enjoying the stream, hit the like button. It really does help. It actually really does help. Is that, you know, she came at Wendy. She was upset with Wendy because Wendy was sent there lying to her face, and I get that. Wendy loves her brother. Gabby also loves her brother, and you know, I sit there and I look at it. It was like Gabby would have done the exact same thing that Wendy did. So after a while, I was glad that she did forgive her. But in the beginning, I was like, "Bro, you would have did the same thing." It's like, what are you talking about? Like, And I haven't even been watching the show that long, and I can tell that's something that Gabby would do.
Right,
But she
right.
did correct it, so you know.
Right, right, and see, and I feel that too because I feel like the thing about it is that I feel that too. Is I'm like, Gabby, that's her brother. Like, what do you expect her to do? Like, that's a person who's having her. Like, what I'm saying? She's gotta have this man's back. And I feel like what's gonna happen is Lee is going to team up with Stefan. Stefan's gonna get released and just see Gabby's more crazy. And what he's gonna do a whole flip on everybody. Because now Lee's got fired from Demira, but I'm waiting for that he teams with Lee, and then it's gonna be like a Uno reverse on EJ, like a Uno reverse.
Now going on days, talk about Marlena and what did we wait for, like, what, 2 weeks before she died now? Like, she outlasted women that were, I'm pretty sure she's the oldest one out of all three of them.
I
And
think
it
so.
took and it took like what, 2 weeks? And I'm sitting up there just like, I'm looking at my phone watching this, and I'm just like, and I don't want to sound like a dick, but I'm just like, are we actually going to do this? Like, is she not dead yet, or is she going to be dead tomorrow? Like, what's going on? What's the hold up? I felt like they just dragged it out, and when she actually did die, I was like, you know what? Let me not actually do a review on it because I know that I'm going to come across as, well, a dick, but just more the fact that they took so long with it. And of course, now they got the whole devil line storyline. So I'm just like,
I don't know how I feel about that last twist. Okay, so the last part of the twist of that, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about that. But I will say this: I was actually okay with the pacing of them dragging Marlene's death out because honestly, Kayla, I never really cared for Kayla. It's okay. She's just there part for the course. Steve is interested in Kayla. I'm just like, all right, all right, I see you. You're here. But Marlena has this thing where I'm okay with them dragging that out for the 2 weeks because, I'm honestly, I was boohooing. I was like, oh my god, this is so sad. On the 499 rooftop that they got. I was like, oh my god. Because when I saw the new set, I was like, wait, they got a new. Because when I first saw, I was like, wait, they got a new roof. But then I was like, wait a minute, that's a green screen roof. I was like, all right, our 499 is being put to work. All right, I see y'all. I see. But the thing about it is that I loved it. I loved it. I love the whole story. Because here's the thing, John and Marlena. It's very rare in soaps you see older couples actually still be interesting for a very long time.
yes, that's very true.
John and Marlena are one because what happens is that older couples on soaps or characters in soaps, they usually get retired to just making cookies, in the background, or we don't see them, or they come in and give a one-liner and then that's it. But John and Marlena have managed to be interesting, alone, together. They both got it going on. They're in shape. They're sexy. They're kicking it. They still got that sex appeal. And at the same time, not even that, but like their storylines are good. Like when they come into either one of them come into a scene, you feel it. You feel it with the both of them. You feel that chemistry. You feel that like you feel that with them. They have this mystique about them, both of them, even as individuals. And it's very rare that can be done. That's why they saved Marlena for last, because if you look at it, Soap Opera Digest, I think it was like a year or two ago, did a survey on who's the most iconic character between, like who's the most iconic soap character, and it was tied between Erica Kane and Marlena. And I feel like the reason why Erica Kane was on that list because obviously it was Erica Kane, she's an iconic character, everyone knows her. But in terms of growth, Marlena had that. Erica Kane didn't have no growth. She was vain, she was vapid, and she was always chasing men every single 2 seconds on All My Children. It was just getting old. She really didn't have no other growth past that. But Marlena, the way they wrote for her is like she was a good character, kind of like goody two shoes. But at the same time, she wasn't. She was at one point in time they thought she was a Salem stalker. She induced Stefano into a coma. She's done these things, but they've written her in a way where she's done all those things, but she can still maintain her good reputation. Kind of like with Vicky on Like to Live, where she did all those crazy things with her alters. Yes. So she still got to be goody two shoes at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And you see that? And that's a brilliant way they've written for Marlena. So that's when they dragged it out. I was cool with it because she's the most interesting out of the three. So I was like, I could do that. The other two, they killed them quickness. They killed them quickness.
That's a very good way of looking at it. I didn't look at it that way. I guess I was just looking at it like, is she dead yet? No? Tomorrow? Okay, cool. But that's a very good way of looking at it. But then, it was kind of a shame that they didn't have Sammy there, And, I've heard rumors, some snit there being like, maybe they should sit there and recast her at some point, which I feel like that would be a mistake. But at the same time, it's like, a scene like that, you know, where it's like, oh, I'm dealing with Sydney. Your mom is dying. I'm dealing with Sydney, but your mom is dying. Maybe you should be there first. Like, and she was no, like, you had Bella there. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Bella's not supposed to be there, but I'm like, and where's Sammy at? You know? So I feel like even something where it's like, if they did do that and they had her there more, it would have made sense for her to be in that room, you know? Because you felt like there was a part of the puzzle that was just missing. You got Eric there, you got Bella there, but there's no Sammy? Come
And
on.
Sammy's such a monumental character on Days, and she's had so much adversity with Marlena and being her daughter that even if they would have said, "Oh yeah, Sammy was here earlier and she just left," I would have, and we never saw Sammy like physically. I would have digested that. I could have been okay with it because you can't have like this is how you know we can't take Marlena's death seriously because Sammy was not there. You
Yeah.
know, and even with Kate, they mentioned Philip, but even though they mentioned Philip, I'm like, what about Kate's two other children? So they were just held up in traffic. What about the other two? They were just held up in traffic. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like with Sammy not being there, it made you feel like you can't take it seriously. And if you notice, Marlena was the only one who got an afterlife sequence. The other two didn't get that.
Yeah.
They didn't get the afterlife sequence, but Marlena is the one that got it. And so I don't know where the women are because I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna write these women coming back because I know they're not gone, especially if Sam didn't come back. That's not. But see, the
Yeah.
thing is, even though I know Marlena will come back probably at some point, it felt real because it did the little flashbacks. Because
Yeah.
usually they withhold that the flashback. They give us a little bit of a flashback. I was like, okay, like this feels kind of real. But then I quickly remember they're not coming off Marlena. Sammy's not here, so
Yeah. And of course, you had the whole devil thing, which here's the thing, a lot of people don't like the whole devil storyline. I did because I wasn't around for the first one. So a lot of people were just like, "Oh, they're doing it again." I was like, "Yeah, but it's my first go around, so I'm cool with it." I'm not gonna lie, it did kind of creep me out a little bit. I, but somehow, here's the thing: I love horror movies, but like Exorcist movies and stuff like that will always creep me out. I'll still watch them, but they are probably the only horror genre that legit creeps me out. You
I think
know?
after the purge, I vowed to never watch scary movies ever again. Purge. But I would say this: the second time around, this possession storyline didn't scare me because I saw the first one. I saw it years ago on YouTube and stuff, so I know what they're really capable of. The first one where she turned into a jaguar. I'm surprised they didn't do that the second time around. So the second time around felt very like cartoonish, whereas the first time around it felt like the real deal Holyfield. And so this time around, it didn't really, the voices and stuff, but like I saw that scene from the 1990s where she morphs into the jaguar on the stairs, that black jaguar. I was like, yo, like you felt that, but I don't know how I felt about them doing this. Like, so is she in hell or is she in heaven? Like, what's going on? Like, I didn't understand that when I was watching
It
it.
is kind of weird because it's well, to tell you the truth, I feel like maybe that's going to be the interesting part to find out where is she exactly. Because Susan was like, "Oh, I can't find her," or whatever. I was like, "Yeah, because they're probably up there, and you might actually be like down there. That's why she couldn't find her." I don't know. It seemed like it's going to be interesting, just all in all.
I would say
I did
this.
actually.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to sit there and say like this week of days have been pretty interesting. Like it's been good for me. I've been enjoying, but I've also been enjoying GH actually. I can't really say that too often. Like I was legit actually enjoying GH. I was like, it's New Year. Maybe they're actually going to decide to step up. I mean, what are you at 60 now? So
GH was getting decent. Like some of the dialogue was getting kind of decent. I was like, oh wow, this is a decent episode. Okay, I see you, GH. You finally give us a decent episode or whatever. You know what I mean? For the first time in over a year and a half. You finally give us something decent. I can rock with that, GH. I see you. Now, in terms of, like I said, in terms of days, what we've been seeing on them with their storylines, I mean, like I said, what I really want to see on days is this. I want to see Megan Hathaway. I want this Megan, Bo, and Hope thing to finally like come to the surface because I'm like, this is what I'm waiting for. That's that meat. Because there's a couple reasons why I'm waiting for that. And I'm gonna say something that might offend some old time Days fans. Bo and Hope, personally to me, were never interesting together. They were always interesting apart. But I feel like this storyline might make them a little more interesting and got Carvalho writing for the show. Another thing too is the Demaras have been lacking that leadership figure in their family. And I do believe Megan Hathaway can be that. She can be that for the Demaras. Because I feel like Tony was supposed to be that, but Tony is too soft. Tony is way too soft. It's just not going to work. If he was a Horton and he was going to be the next like leadership figure or the patriarch for the Horton family, that could work. But in terms of Damaris, he's too soft for that. It's not going to work. And I feel like he was supposed to be. That's who his character was written to be over time, but they just missed the mark on that. Now he's just like making one-liners with Anna, so it's just not going to work. And Anna doesn't have the makings of a matriarch to me. For me, she just doesn't have it. But Megan, I want Megan to come back, and I want them to finally explore what happened with Bo when we last saw him beyond Salem, with his eyes open, the tube. You know, that's just what I'm waiting for. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for them to hurry up and just get this over with. That's storyline. Continue.
Yeah. On a side note, I actually got a cable box now. I only say that because when I was watching GH1, that site that I'm not going to say what it is, they don't actually have it on there anymore. And
they had what?
They don't have it on there anymore.
Yeah, they don't. They took it off. I was like, damn. Yeah. I had to reactivate my Hulu. Yeah.
Yes, that's why I was really happy to get a cable box, because trying to watch it on YouTube, they started shortening the episodes. So it's like after 26 something minutes, it will just recycle back to the beginning.
And I hated that. I'm like, really, we're doing this again? Y'all were doing so good. What happened?
Yeah. I mean, it was already kind of annoying with like the music and the jumping in and out or whatever. But I mean, you know, it was one of those things. It's like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna watch it because I'm gonna do my review, and that's gonna be that. But it started messing up my time schedule as far as me trying to do the live streams.
Because the community feeds got to come on at 9 and 10. I saw
that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, screw it. I guess I'll get a cable box now. So, but it is a difference though. Like, my goodness, like the quality is like, oh yeah, I forgot what it's actually to watch it and actually have it look good. So.
Because that's the issue with Hulu. Hulu waits till like 10 p.m. to post it. I'm like, why do you have to wait that late? Is that necessary? Like, this thing aired like hours ago. Like, you have to wait that late. So I definitely don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Because honestly, if it weren't for GH, I don't think I would even probably have a Hulu, honestly, if it weren't for that. And then why not? I can watch it like for free, which I love that. And they post their stuff after 6 p.m. So shout out to CBS.com. Don't y'all ever get rid of that. CBS.com. Y'all hear me? Don't get rid of it now. Get rid of it. We appreciate you.
B&B also. They both actually, I think around 5:30 or whatever. So that's what's up.
And this is one thing I want to touch on real quick, since we just kind of did a quick micro mention of B&B. This is my whole thing. Like, okay, I'm going to make two comparisons here with Sloane Peterson and Sheila Carter for a second. Sloane Peterson is a really well-written villain. And she's written in a way where she's a villainess, but she's human at the same time. So she's not too much of a villain where she has to get run out of town the next few months, right? She's written well enough where she has a human side of her because she's going after this because her mother died. But, you know, we feel that human side of her when we see her with Eric, right? And then we get mad at her again when we see her going against Chanel and Paulina. Now, my issue with Sheila Carter is Sheila should have been run out of town. Kimberly Brown is on contract. And that's why it's hard for me to take those storylines seriously, because like, your character has done too much where this just doesn't make sense anymore. You know what I mean? You've done too much. And I get you're on contract, but I would have preferred maybe Sheila had a long lost twin sister or something. I would have digested because she's on contract.
Yeah.
But to now have Sheila with Bill, and it just doesn't make sense. You did all those things. You shot two people cold-blooded and they identified you, and you're still walking around. Let's talk about it.
No, you're 100% right. I think that's kind of the problem. It's like the contract is actually working against the show. As far as storyline is concerned, you are 100% right about that. You know, it's like, all right, well, how could we sit there and keep Sheila on the show? Okay, we'll write this convoluted story that's not going to really make a lot of sense. Oh, and we're going to sit there and we're going to stick her with Bill. And we're going to make Bill talk a lot less. He's going to use so much less dialogue. I found those scenes so funny when like Brooke and his kids would come in there. They would talk for like 5 or 7 minutes. Bill would say like 3 lines. And then it was just like they were talking, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So, so those two got the hard job. They got to sit there and carry this whole thing, and Don Diamond just gets to sit there and say like three lines, and that's it. Like, what? What is there's the scenes are just so laughable, but yeah, just going back to Sheila, it's a detriment to the show
It
the
is
way that they're
totally.
doing.
And B&B thinks they can get away with these things and these really bad written scenes where they're over dramatic classical orchestra music that they be putting in between scenes, thinking that we're not gonna notice because it's just like, okay, when Sheila was supposedly eaten by the grizzly bear and they found the toe, that was a time to probably have Kim and J. Brown. Now we're gonna make her Sheila's twin sister, so where Sheila can still come into town and they're like, who is this woman who looks like Sheila? And she gets arrested and she has to say that she's not Sheila. That it's so convoluted, but I would have digested it. I really would have digested that because and just because of the simple fact that and see this is the problem is that on Y&R, Lauren said that Sheila was dead, right? And we all know we're watching B&B that Sheila's alive. And I'm like, and these shows are connected, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
so like what's because like literally watching the episode, she's like, yeah, if Sheila ever comes back, she would have wished she stayed dead. And I'm like, but Sheila's alive on B&B. Everyone knows she's alive. Eric Forster knows she's alive, and you just called Eric Forster 3 months ago on behalf of Sally. So
yeah,
it was like okay, like, and I don't. They're saving that for a later date. But how do you explain that Lauren doesn't know that she is alive, given that she used to be married, she used to be involved with Eric. She called Eric on the phone. Eric has her number. People know this.
yeah. It's definitely one of those times where it's like the writers slipped up, and this is pretty much what you said. It has a lot to do with the whole contract thing. Now, I want to quickly sit there and touch on why not because we talked about it a little bit, but like, what do you think of the whole Sally storyline with Nick? Like, I'll just sit there and start off. So she's not there talking to him on the phone, and she's talking towards the end. She's like, "Oh, well, you're going to be a good father to this baby," but I'm like, you know that there's a possibility that this child could also be Adam's. Like, you didn't sit there and tell him that he was pregnant, that you were pregnant. He had to sit there and find that out on his own. And now you're just like, oh, well, you're going to be a good father. And like, what are you doing? Like, Sally, you're a little bit too old to be sitting there playing these games. Like, maybe back in Los Angeles, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago when you first started, that might have been kind of cute. Well, you kind of getting up in age. Like, this is getting kind of foolishness now. What do you think of that, Tom?
This is my thoughts on Sally. I'm happy she's having her Newman baby. It's she needs something to keep her busy at the moment, but she's gonna get tossed to the wind like with Villas, because the only woman who has carried a Newman child and has managed to garner some respect in the Newman family to some capacity is Sharon. Phyllis is not even getting that. Sage died. You see how they feel about Chelsea, so I don't have to say anything about that. And
Yeah,
then now it's just, you know, I feel like they've really taken away the core of who Sally's character was supposed to be. Because I've seen Sally before, years before when she was on B&B. Um, and she's just so distant from that original right. When I'm okay with growth and writing different directions for characters, but I just wish she was so distant from that. I would have preferred her to be the wife of Jack Abbott. I know people think that was gross, but they were a couple at one point in time, and it just felt more real. But anyways, I just that's a storyline to me that really hasn't captured my attention as much and my interest for what reason. I just don't know why. Um, and I feel like Sally thinks that she's that girl that she won't end up like Chelsea or Phyllis. Like that's what I feel like. She thinks it's gonna be different with her. Like there's some people sometimes they'll see how somebody treats their ex and think, oh, that's not me. Like I'm that one, and then you end up
yeah,
just like that one. You know what I mean?
exactly.
You end up just like them because this is my whole thing in life. I always feel like you have to be mindful of how you see somebody treat somebody else. So if Adam's willing to treat the mother of his current child like she ain't nothing, and like she's just like, because I feel like he treats Chelsea like an inconvenience. That's how I feel like Adam treats her. Like she's an inconvenience, and it's like, oh, I have to deal with you. Now Nick is a little bit different, and that's probably why she wants Nick to be the father, because Nick treats Phyllis and Sharon with equal respect, but probably Sharon a little bit more, right? But he treats them really well, right? Adam doesn't do that. Adam doesn't do that with Chelsea. He's like, okay, I'm here. So yeah, like, you know, we need to talk about what's going on with Connor, and are you okay to take care of Connor? Like, it's just like that's how Adam is when it comes to a Z. Like, he doesn't care about her. But see, Nick, people can say Nick is trash. I know Nikisha, she's in the chat. Nikisha feels like Nick is trash, but Nick, Nick is decent enough to Sharon and Phyllis. And even when Nick was with Chelsea, he was decent to her too. In fact, when Chelsea was going through her stuff, Nick had like that look of concern on his face for Chelsea, even though they weren't even together more. And she's not even in his orbit anymore. But Adam doesn't have that. Adam was like, yeah, so are you okay to take care of Connor? Because like I'm going out with Sally tonight. You know, that's how Adam is. That's how Adam is. And it gets my nerves when I see Adam in the scene. I just want to like, I don't know, like slap him or something. I cannot stand Adam. Like, you know. And then Sally is coming in thinking like she's that girl, you know, like she's I got him, sis. Like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, if that's what he's willing to treat her, and after everything she's going through, how do you think he's gonna treat you? And I think that's why maybe on a subconscious level, she wants this baby to be Nick's. She wants because she knows that Nick is probably the better man to be the father of her child than it is for Adam.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that. It's because you had his personality down to a T. And I was just like, yo, I could have swore I'm sitting there, you know, hearing Adam talk. Like, you just had that
because
just the way he acts.
The Newmans are so fake. They're the fakest family in Genoa City, I feel like. Because even when Victor came over, all right, Chelsea, you know, we're all here for you. You know, you're Connor's mother. Connor's mother. We want to go with you. And that's the only way I do that. You don't care about this girl in no way. They are so fake. And see, this is the thing. This would have been the difference of the Abbotts. And Jack would have handled that situation so differently than the way Victor did. Victor, and I don't know, people felt like Victor was being compassionate or they took that as compassion. I was like, no, he's doing what Adam doing. Like, all right, Chelsea, is everything okay? If you need any help, we can take Connor off your hands if you need it. You know, we can do that for you, all right? All right? And if you need us, we're here for you, you know? So that's what it is. But see, the devil's in the details. Look at what he said. Oh, we can take Connor off your hands. We can take him off your hands.
Yes, I remember that.
You see, they don't care about this woman.
You know, just on a side note, it's funny that you say that because, like, this is something that I've learned, like, from you. When Drew and Carly were in the bed and you start talking about the insider trading thing, that came out the blue, but it wasn't really out the blue. It was a message. And I said that in my review. It was like, the writers want you to know about that because towards the end, when you see Nina looking at Drew and Carly, and you see in the preview, she's like, oh, y'all look so cozy and comfortable together. It's like, you know where that's going to go. It's the same thing with Y&R when he's sitting there talking about, well, we could sit there and take him off your hands. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? You can take him off your hands. Like, explain that to me. So, yeah, I can totally get. Yeah.
To me, when Victor said that, I know people just saw Victor saying, oh, yeah, you know, we can take Connor off your hands. But what I heard Victor say that moment was, so, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do with your life. But, like, you know, if you feel like you need to go do something, just bring him over to us. Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I heard him say. That's what I heard Victor say that. Because the thing is, I can never trust the Newmans and their genuine intentions. Because Victor and Nikki, because here's the thing, okay, you could tell me because you're I think you're well versed now in the show. Don't you feel like there's just such a difference between the way Jack and Victor approach things? Okay,
absolutely.
How would you contrast those two, Jack and Victor? And I don't want to say anything to bias your answer, but how would you contrast those two?
Victor seems like he always has like this underhanded motive. You know, Jack can come across as very sincere. You know, that's why when I'm sitting there watching Jack now versus like when I go to like a 90s scene, it's like Jack back then was a dick, but he was funny and he was entertaining. This Jack is like Mr. Rogers, except when you push his buttons too far. But he comes across as more sincere as opposed to Victor. And you're 100% right. It was an ulterior motive. There's usually an ulterior motive with Victor, you know, even with his own kids, it's like, okay, I'll love you, but it's going to come with some strings attached.
Because,
you know,
Jack is so genuine, right? That's why I feel like as a character, like when he's in a scene, like you can feel him. Peter Bergman is such an amazing actor. You feel it in every scene. But when Victor comes in, I believe so. Ashton Locke, he was in his car and he drove off a cliff. I believe that you should leave it where it is, Chance. I believe the detective, that the mystery has been solved. Nope, I believe it was solved. Yeah, Victor goes into a scene,
There's actually one scene where he was like laying back, like he was laying almost in a chair, like he was talking to I don't remember one of his kids, and he was like this, and I'm just like, in my head, I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what? Why aren't you like talking to somebody like normal? Like, it was just the oddest scene. He was literally like this, and he was talking to one of his kids or whatever, and this whole scene was going, and they're talking like they're doing regular dialogue, and I'm like, so no one's gonna sit there and point out that this man is doing, like, did he wake up like have like back pains or something like that? Like, it was such an odd scene. It made me feel uncomfortable just doing that for a little bit. So oh my god, I don't know if you remember that scene, but I was just like, why are you
Victor does
sitting
have
like
problem with
that?
every scene in Newman Enterprises, so I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, but this he was at Crimson Lights. He was talking to somebody, but it was like he was talking like I don't know. I guess like when you get older, or whatever, like sometimes you have back problems or whatever, and like I guess he just decided to just come into work anyway that day, and he just was the actor just probably was not feeling well because I was just like, what the hell are you doing? It was just the oddest scene.
Right. Yeah, because it's like so weird. It's like, why would you sit back like that? As if like, because it looks like Victor always seems like he's like on the attack, but subtly, like leaning back like that. It's just
And he's done that more than once. There's just very odd times where he'll sit there and be talking to somebody. I'm just like, why are you sitting like that? Like it just it throws me off sometimes. And sometimes I'm sitting there watching these scenes, like, wait. Why are you sitting like that for? Like sometimes I just have to pause and just be like, what the?
because with Victor, I feel like Victor is the kind of character like you have to be very mindful to think deeply into what he's saying and help and like because like Victor's the type of person. Let's say if Summer's in the room, Victor come in the room and be like, "All right, Summer, it's good seeing you. I know that Jack is your uncle, but keep in mind you also have me as a grandfather as well. If you need me, okay? If you need me, let me know, okay? And Jack Abbott may be your uncle, but I'm also your grandfather. If you need me or your grandmother Nikki, well, who's gonna be here for you?" It's like that's the way like planting like a seed subtly.
Yes. I feel like you've been watching. I feel like you've been watching it so long that you have his movements down to a T. Like even the way he talks, it was like that's wow.
Because I mean, you saw the chair scene, where
No,
Victor's
no,
like,
no, 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 no.
"My seat, I like it. I want you out of it." And then Jack just throws it out the window, and then Victor just stands there so casually. He just stands there so casually, like he's trying to figure out what he's gonna have for breakfast. He just stands there like nothing happened, and then Jack goes, "Have a seat on me," and he walks out, and Victor just stands there.
Can we just applaud this man? Can we just no seriously? Can we just applaud this man DC for like probably the greatest reenactment of Victor I've ever seen in my life? Let's just give him an applause. Seriously.
Because Victor, wait, he'll yell, but when Jack threw that chair out the window, he's like, "Have a seat on me," and then Victor just like stood there as if like that was a 15 chair throw out the window of a 20 storyline movie that week. So it's like,
But on the side note, I miss things like that though. Like that was such a even the scene where he threw the chair and what's her name? Ashley was there. He was like,
yeah.
"Oh, you disrespected our father," and he takes the chair and he throws it, and like Ashley screams, and I'm just like, and I sat there and I laughed so hard because I was just like, Ashley, you act like he's throwing the chair at you. He's throwing it at the window.
Right.
You are nowhere near the window. You're not even going to get glass on you. You're just like, I'm just like, what am I watching? But at the same time, it's just, but it was so over the top. I think that actually happened around like 2005, right? Like 2005, 2006.
No, he threw a chair. Okay, so we threw a chair with Victor. That was '05, and Ashley it was like 2016, 2017.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah, that was a little
That
bit
was
more
bold.
recent. That was
Okay.
very more recent with that. That was very more recent with that. But see, that's the thing. If I had to be a part of a family general city, it would have to be the Abbotts, because I feel like Jack. You see, the way Jack even handles people is like he knows Diane is a schemer. You know what I'm saying? But he's like he holds a space for her because he knows it's Kyle's mom, and it's like he's a genuine person. Now, granted, he hasn't always been like that. From back in the days, he was trying to blackmail Jill and all that other stuff, but I feel like Jack has grown, right? Whereas Victor, it's always some type of shenanigans, and that's how you could trust him. And Victor will tell you the sky is red and just stand there so calmly looking at you, telling you the sky is red with like no fear. It's scary with Victor.
Definitely.
Victor would be like, Albert, the sky is red, okay? I think you just need to leave things where they are, and the sky is red, okay? And I think you should talk to Jack Abbott. Jack Abbott has something to tell you, and I think everything's gonna be okay. I think you should leave it there. And he'll just say with a straight face, or he look at you with a straight face. Like that's what Victor is.
Yeah. I honestly tell you, I think I was more shocked just like how great your impression is of Victor. Like I'm more like granted, yeah, that's definitely something that Victor would sit there and say. But when
He
you
used
get
to call
past all,
Mumbles. He used to call Victor Mumbles. That's what they used to call him in the soap that chat wars is Mumbles. Because whatever
really,
Victor, because Victor, especially in 06, he would come in the room and be like, all right, Jack Abbott is the person Joe. And then of course Nikki comes in and she'll be like, well, since my full-time job is being Victor's shadow, it's important that I feel when we do this and that we get to a solution. That's what Nikki is. She's Victor's shadow. That's her full-time job, Victor's shadow.
I'm not gonna lie. Now that I think about it, there's a lot of times where I would have to sit there and like rewind certain scenes so I can understand what Victor's saying. Because there's just certain times I'm just like, should I get like captions? Like,
I always have
should I get
captions on
captions?
my R. I was just for that, especially with Victor's.
I feel like I may start to need them because after a while, even when I'm watching on my TV, I'm like, should I turn it up? Like, should I just skip past this part? Because I don't understand what he's saying. That is very, that is very, very.
I have captions on with Victor's on my R.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like there's a couple of times where it's like, is it just me? Am I just like, am I losing my hearing? Because I can hear everyone else fine, but when I go to Victor, it's like, Wait, what did you just say? That's usually how it is.
And here's the thing: I don't know if because I know I'm like in between episodes sometimes. Why I know, but does Victor know that Sally is pregnant with either Nick or Adam's baby? Does he know yet?
Nope.
And see, and this is what's gonna happen. Once Victor finds out, he's gonna find Sally. Be like, so I found out you are pregnant. Having a child is a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. If you ever need time for us to take care of your child, if you need time to go back to Los Angeles and we take care of the child for you, we can do that for you. Okay. We'll be more than happy, me, Nick. More than happy to do that for you. And it's like make it sound like he's doing you a favor, but low key he's like, yeah, we can take custody. You can go ahead and just go back to LA. We got you.
Exactly. Because that's exactly how Victor is. Victor's one of those type of people who'll say something, but there's always double meaning in it, and it's always with an agenda. And then with his kids, he's usually, like Nikki says, like, yo, don't be using the children as pawns in whatever game that they're trying to play with Adam as far as getting them back, because he has a history of doing that. But it's amazing because it's like you look at their history and it's like Nikki knows what's up. Nikki knows that he's not there doing foul stuff like that to the children, but she's like, don't use them as pawns there. And then you're just like, but you're just co-signing his BS though. So like that don't make you.
That's why I don't blame Diane for what she had to do with stealing Nikki's jewelry, because at the same time, like Nikki and Phyllis and Ashley put her in this situation.
Yeah, they definitely did.
They put her in this situation, and so I didn't feel bad for Nikki at all. And I get it was a weird place for Summer to be in, because let me ask you, how do you think Summer should have handled that? Knowing that they still
I think that Summer should have sat there and understood that family comes with family drama. It's like seriously, and here's the thing, like, Phyllis couldn't let it go. Diane came back into town. Diane didn't actually do anything to any of them. Now, okay, her stuff back then was bad, like what, 30 or 40 years ago, But she came back into town and she's getting upset with Kyle talking about, oh, well, your mother's that they're bringing all this danger and everything like that to the family. And it's like, and your mom is that they're stirring up the pot.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
seriously, like, are you kidding me right now? So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, if y'all just would have left her alone and continue with your boring lives as it was, then y'all would have been fine. But nah, y'all not, like, come on, what are you doing?
And they're just pushing Diane closer into Jack's arms. She's gonna be the next Mrs. Jack Abbott. I'm here for it. I think she deserves the title. She deserves it. I feel like she deserves it.
And Summer was like, even Summer and Kyle was like, yeah, I'm not surprised that those two got together, whatever. But Summer has just been doing this very ugly frown throughout most of these scenes, and it's just very difficult to sit there and watch her on screen because she's always looking like she's pouting or she's upset or like she's about to sit there like somebody, I don't know, messed up her order of her food or something like that. And it's like that almost all the scenes.
Becky, I was gonna say Becky D said that she thinks Diane is playing Jack and is helping someone take over Jabot. What do you think about that theory? Because I was kind of thinking that what if she is really working with Jeremy Stark on the low?
That will be, I'm not gonna lie, if they did that, that would be cool. That will be interesting. Now, Solomon also did sit there and say that, sometimes it's hard for people to understand what Victor says because he has a very heavy German accent. So that may have a lot to do with it as well. But I think that would be pretty cool if they actually wound up doing that. I really do. Um, it is. Is it any? Because I think we kind of wrapped up all the soaps when we did Y&R. I think we actually kind of. Yeah, I think we kind of covered it. So, is it any last words you want to sit there and say? Um, it's a little final press conference, I guess.
Let's see here. I guess last word. I'm hoping that. Okay, the key said I'm gonna throw them an engagement party. At least I like Diana's big track. I'll say that. But anyways, last thing I want to say is I really hope with the 60th anniversary, GH. I really don't have high hopes. This is the first time I feel like a soap is having anniversary. I don't have high hopes. Y&R I do. I think they're gonna do theirs right. But GH, I don't know. It's just like it's like that child that just keeps on disappointing you, give them so many chances, but they just keep disappointing you. It's just like I don't know. But last words I would say is, guys, it's been great. It's been great to be back and do this and be back on this chat with you guys. It's been amazing, and I think that's all I gotta say for right now. That was it. I might have more to say later on, but yeah, that's all I have to say. The last part of words.
Okay. All right. And it's funny too because I was gonna sit there and say something along the lines of the same thing. Like going into this year with especially GH, I got my expectations pretty low. Okay, I'm already setting the bar for this year. So anything that they do that goes above that bar, I'll be impressed. But my expectations are really, really low. Um, and I would want to have high hopes because it's January, but come on.
What do you think about with TC coming back, Tyler Christopher? Because you said he might be coming back, right? I heard your show.
Yeah, that's gonna be hella interesting. That is going to be. Now I will say, in this.
Go ahead.
No, I will sit there and say this because Ron in the chat made a good point. So, the writing for Nicholas has been great. A lot of people have just not been liking this Nicholas. And for some odd reason, in some people's heads, they actually think that if Tyler comes in, that the writing is going to just magically change. Like they're just going to just make Nicholas the Nicholas that people loved and knew again. So Ron was like, listen, now if he gives you that exact same energy because the writing's going to be the same, make sure you give the same smoke that you was giving to Marcus about, oh, well, your Nicholas is terrible. Make sure you give that same smoke to Tyler. And on a side note, if they actually did want to improving his, like they want to improving his character, then what the hell does that sit there and say for the other guy? Like how disrespectful it is if you gave that last person such crap material. Oh, Tyler's coming back? Oh, all right, we're gonna get our best people on. What does that say? Like how disrespectful is that?
Because Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna sit there and say, so I'm just setting the bar low. Now what was you gonna say?
it's weird because I just felt like Marcus Colombo was better as Nicholas. I like Tyler Christopher as Stefan, believe it or not, on days. I would prefer, okay, because I don't make it sound personal of the actors, but I would prefer him as Stefan on days, personally, in my opinion. Because right now, even though we have Stefan on days, I still see Jake. I'm not able to explain because he was the original Stefan, but I still see Jake. But I mean, honestly, I would prefer him on days actually than I would on GH because I don't know, as Nicholas, I just feel like he never really showed emotions. It just felt very one note as Nicholas, and Marcus gave me more of those emotions, more of that depth, more of that. It's almost like, for example, Freddie Wilson used to play Freddie Smith. I'm sorry, Freddie Smith. That's Freddie Wilson. Freddie Smith used to play Sonny on days, and now we have Zach Tinker playing Sonny on days. And the thing about it is that, wait, hold on a second here. Okay. Sorry, that was my cat, guys. I apologize. Okay, so it's just like with those two Sonnies. Freddie Wilson's Sonny was like this goody two shoes, right? Freddie Smith's Sonny was like this goody two shoes. But however, Zach Tinker's Sonny had more of like a vulnerability. We get to see more emotions, and that's what Marcus displays as Nicholas. TC Tyler Christopher didn't do it for me as Nicholas personally. He didn't, and I don't. And like you said, like him coming back is not going to save the show.
Yeah.
And I think they might kill him off. I think they might kill Nicholas's off. That's why I feel like that. I mean, if he, so wait, do you know for sure if they're bringing TC back? Is that confirmed?
Oh crap! I knew I forgot to do something because Nikisha asked me, because I read it, I think in Soaps in Depth in the morning, and so now I got to sit there and find that article so that way I can sit there and link it in the chat because that's where I found out that. I found that out on Soaps and Depth when I was in there reading it. I got to find that article because apparently she tried to look for it, she couldn't find it. Maybe some other people couldn't find it. So
I don't think that's how to make them write better. Like
no. It's going to be the exact same Nicholas. So I don't understand why people. But you know what? Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't.
And the writing has been like so off the wall. I mean, now Nicholas and Spencer teaming, like, see, I feel like the writers are just on a dartboard at GH, with sticks. And first it was Elizabeth teaming up with Nicholas to keep Esme hostage, which made no sense. And now she broke up with Finn. I don't get it. I don't get none of it.
Well, I will sit there and say before I do go, it is actually good to sit there and see you back. Because I know, I know that real life, can sit there and be kicking your ass at times, and you got a lot of things going on. You either got personal stuff that's going on, you got work stuff that's going on, you got school stuff that's going on. And so it's nice when you get to sit there and come back and just kind of, hang out with people in the chat and your supporters and stuff like that. So it is personally really good to, what are you looking at?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. No.
My cat was doing something, so that's why. Sorry about that.
No, but it's good to sit there and see you back in the chat, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people, would definitely agree that it's good to see you back. So it's and like I said, it's one of those things. It's like you came back, you're having fun, and I think that's all that really matters. It's like you got that feel like this is why I enjoy doing this. So it's glad that you didn't rush it. You came back when you're ready.
I agree. Yeah, it's definitely amazing to be able to be back. I miss doing it. I mean, I finally did my first review in 2 months. It's like, oh, so it feels good. I mean, because I have so much to say. Like, especially when I was watching GH the other day. I got to do my GH review tomorrow, but like, there's so much to say, and it's been so much. It's been like, I would say bottled up in me, but it's like so much watching the stuff. So man, like this and that. Like, I gotta get this out in the reviews. It's not. It's time for me no longer to be a Laura Collins and be an actual contract player again.
But like I was, like I was saying, when we were talking throughout the week or whatever, it's like definitely come back when you're. What's good, Atara? Definitely come back when you're ready and stuff like that. Because you don't want to come back you don't want to sit there and start rushing stuff. Yeah. Because like you said, it translates on video. People can actually see a difference if you're just doing it just to do it, just to put something out, or if you're actually genuine about what you're doing and you're having fun doing it. So, and like I said,
you be like really detailed in your views, really put all your emotions into it. Yes, I agree. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and like I said, I was like, listen, I was like, I'm gonna sit there and try to get DC to come back this week, as the the chat has been asking. So, I did sit there and deliver that.
So no more press
So,
conferences for the week, right? So
yeah. And until you disappear for like maybe another 2 or 3 weeks, and I gotta sit there and be like, all right, so what do you want to put out?
I can say, you know
What
what?
do you want me to put out?
Because like I said, pretty much everyone's going to expect me every 2 weeks is because I have been given the lives, I think twice, or I think once already this month. So I'm now in my second, so I'm still in my bi-weekly format. Like I've been inconsistently consistent or consistently inconsistent.
Which one do you think is
Never
more
have.
easier for you to do? The live streams or the reviews?
Hmm. Um. I guess I would probably. I want to say lives are doing more of those, but I'd have to say I think the reviews are probably differently because I can do them at any point in time, just put them out and boom, that's it. Whereas lives, they have to be a particular time. I can't do it at 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Anything like that. So it's gonna hurt. It's kind of tough to say, um, but I think the good thing about it is one thing I'm trying to do now is just trying to do the 2 review shows, and then on the lives I can talk about all the shows and everything cumulatively. So I think that can kind of create a good balance, and then do that on a bi-weekly basis or so.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. That's what I've been doing sometime this week though too. Like, I do my GH review, and I'll do like a day's review. But since I watch all of them, when it comes towards 8 o'clock, we're gonna be sitting there talking about all of them anyway. Um, so no, I think I think for me, like last week was just a lot of hell because it was like I had to sit there and either shorten the live stream and then do the review. And
Yeah,
what
because
and I guess what for me was a little exhausting was that I would watch half of the episode. I would talk about GH up until a point, but then I would do the review, and I'm just like, man, I just hit the same notes. And it's one of those things where it's like I like to do it once. So like I'd rather sit there and do the review and then talk about it afterwards because I feel like sometimes it's like, man, what the hell am I actually going to sit there and talk about during this review?
right,
So
right,
that's
right.
why I was so glad that I got the cable box because I was like, yeah, listen, this is killing me. Like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I was like, it's good. I'll just sit there and pay a little bit more money since I'm actually starting to get some money. I'll just write this off as a business expense and just call it even.
Right, right. You know, and I feel you on that because the thing is, like, I love the live streams, but the thing is, like, I've never gotten the chance to concentrate my views on a specific soap and say, like, in detail what it is. So it was good finally getting a day's review out there and just because I love how I do my little analysis of everything, and so
Yeah,
it's
you
good
can
to be able
break
to
it
do
down and
that.
you don't have to yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You can it's a little bit different when you're talking about the show as opposed to you sit there, you're answering questions. There's a lot that goes on when you're doing a live stream. And it's funny too, because like, I was thinking about that too. It's like, watching James, do all this chat and talking to people. It's like people don't understand that it's like you're doing more than just sitting on your ass, just talking about things that you like. Like there's a certain balance that I'm still learning, between talking to people in the chat and just talking to them and not talking with them. Like, well, not really, but it's like it's a balance. Like you can't sit there and answer every question. We got 50 people in the chat. If I was doing this by myself, there's no way I could sit there and get back to every single person. So there's a balance between talking and just kind of giving out your thoughts.
yeah. I
So
feel the same thing
it's a
too.
learning curve, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, I
What
feel the
about
same thing
you?
too. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I think looking at it, like doing the lives, it's been very um beneficial connection. Like I said, I miss doing the reviews where, like I said, I can do a concentrated review on a particular show and then people can listen to it and digest it in their own time. So that has been very like good to do to be able to have that. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into it because I don't know how, like I know James does like a live review, like he does his reviews live. So I can only imagine
Yeah.
that crowd interaction and trying to get your things in and keep it concentrated and trying to keep it on topic and that stuff. So it's interesting
Well,
how
I
you're
mean,
able to do
with
all
his
those.
lives, it's a little bit different than let's say his and Dion's. So like Dion's will sit there and do a live review where he'll talk about stuff, he'll answer questions, and then he'll go back and talk about stuff. With James, it's just mostly him and Frank talking. He'll sit there and pop up some people left and right, but for the most part, it's kind of like what we're doing right now. So I can't imagine
But
doing a
that didn't
live.
understand his Y&R review then.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's a little bit
Yeah,
different.
that's
I
totally
always.
different. The wine review, yeah, it's definitely back with the chat and everybody. Yeah, yeah, you see the wine
Oh,
review,
wow.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see. I
yeah.
can get that.
GH reviews like that. Yeah, with Frank, we're just them, just pretty much talking. With wine review, yeah, everybody's all up in that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine doing that. Like, I have to pick a lane. It's like I'm going to sit there and do a live. I'm going to talk to people, whatever, or I'm going to do a review. I'm not sitting there trying to. I remember one time I actually thought about doing that, and somebody was like, "This is a bad idea." And then I watched other people doing it. I was like, "Yeah, thank God I didn't actually do it this way." I can only imagine. Like, I mean, for the people that do it, that's great, but that's just a lane that I'm not getting into.
Right,
Um,
right.
But yeah, I think that's actually going to do it.
I think so too.
But listen, I want to sit there and thank you, DC, for coming on the live stream. You know, it was great. You know, we had to sit there and figure out some time issues or whatever, but
See, my
we made it work.
voice. It feels good to be back, eh?
Yes, we
All
made
right,
it
that's a
work.
tired joke. I'm gonna retire the joke now. Okay.
You retire that joke when you're getting ready. But I want to thank everyone else for sitting there joining in. I really appreciate y'all being here. You know, usually throughout the week, I always sit there and say more chopping it up with y'all. So, thank you for just kind of just hanging out in the chat, just kind of listening to us and just vibing with us.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
you know, we'll sit there and see DC at some point again. Me, you know, you're gonna sit there and see.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, that. I'm glad you said it, not me, because I didn't want to sit there and say it. And then you
6 to
like,
6:30
bro.
p.m. I'll be going live tomorrow, guys. So I'll be doing my live stream, and I'll be posting the GH review. So that will be before the live, and or whenever YouTube decides it wants to finish uploading that.
So we're gonna get 2 days of DC. We got today and we got tomorrow. So we definitely are gonna be in for a treat. So yeah, definitely,
back to back.
you know,
So
without a doubt.
it's getting 2 for 1, no Publix. So
So yeah, definitely support him on the live tomorrow. Um, and I want to thank everyone for just watching. This was a lot of fun, and just thank you for being here. Thank you to my members. I always sit there and say that I really appreciate just being here, supporting me, and yeah, we will definitely see you in the next video / live stream.
all
Later.
right, guys. See you guys later on that one. All right.